A legacy woven in hair. In a quiet town tucked between sunlit hills and narrow stone streets in Spain lived a girl named Susie. People noticed her wherever she went, not because she spoke loudly or dressed boldly, but because of her hair. It flowed down her back like a dark river, thick and long, catching the light of the Spanish sun and moving with the wind as if it had a life of its own. Strangers often stopped her to ask how long it took to grow, what oils she used, what secret she followed. Susie always smiled politely and gave the same answer: "My grandmother." To most people, it sounded like a sweet joke or a sentimental reply. But for Susie, it was the simplest truth of her life. Susie grew up in a small family home filled with warmth, old furniture, and memories that clung to the walls. Her parents worked long hours, and much of her childhood was shaped by her grandmother, Abuela Carmen, a woman whose hands were always busy and whose heart was always open. Carmen believed that care was shown through routine, through the small, repeated acts that slowly built a life. From the time Susie was a child, her grandmother treated her hair like something sacred. Every evening, Carmen would sit Susie down near the open window, where the smell of orange blossoms drifted in from the street. She would gently comb Susie's hair, never rushing, never pulling. "Hair remembers love," Carmen used to say. "If you treat it kindly, it will grow strong. Just like people." Susie did not fully understand those words then. She only knew that those moments were calm and safe, wrapped in the sound of evening prayers, distant laughter, and her grandmother's soft humming. As Susie grew older, her hair grew longer. While other girls experimented with short styles and modern cuts, Susie never felt the urge to change hers. Cutting it felt like cutting a part of her history. Her grandmother never forbade her from doing so. Carmen was not controlling, but she always reminded Susie that beauty was not something to be rushed or forced. "Patience," she would say, tapping Susie's forehead gently, "is the best ornament." When Susie was 13, her grandmother fell ill. The house that once felt alive grew quiet. The combing sessions stopped. The songs faded. Susie began tying her hair into a simple braid each morning, copying the way Carmen used to do it. It was her way of holding on. After Carmen passed away, Susie's world felt strangely empty. Grief arrived silently, settling into corners of her life. She avoided mirrors for weeks, unable to look at her hair without remembering the hands that once cared for it. Many people told her to cut it, to change something, to start fresh. But Susie couldn't. Her hair was not just hair anymore. It was memory. It was time. It was love that had nowhere else to go. As years passed, Susie moved into adulthood, carrying her grandmother's lessons quietly with her. She studied literature, fascinated by stories that connected generations, by words that survived longer than people. Her hair continued to grow, slowly and steadily, just as Carmen had taught her, washed with care, dried naturally, never treated harshly. Living in Spain meant living among tradition and change at the same time. The streets echoed with history, yet life moved fast. Friends teased her gently for keeping such long hair in a modern world. Some admired it. Some questioned it. "Don't you get tired of it?" they asked. "Why don't you cut it just once?" Susie always answered softly, "Because it's not just mine." As she grew older, Susie began to realize that her grandmother had given her more than a habit. She had given her a way of loving. Through her hair, Susie had learned patience, consistency, and respect for slow growth in a world that demanded quick results. One summer, while attending a cultural festival in her town, Susie was invited to participate in a small exhibition about heritage and identity. People were asked to share something that connected them to their roots. Some brought old photographs. Others shared recipes or songs. Susie stood on the small stage, nervous, her long hair braided simply down her back. When her turn came, she spoke honestly. "My hair," she said, "is not a fashion choice. It is my grandmother's care, her time, her love. Every strand carries a memory of someone who taught me how to be gentle with myself." The audience listened in silence. That day, Susie understood something important. Her grandmother's love had not ended with her life. It had continued, quietly, visibly, through Susie. As time passed, Susie began working with young girls in her community, teaching literature and creative writing. Many of them struggled with self-image, impatience, and comparison. They admired Susie's hair and asked for advice, expecting beauty secrets. Instead, she told them stories about patience, about routine, about honoring where you come from. Long hair grows, she told them, when you don't fight it. So does confidence. Years later, on the anniversary of her grandmother's passing, Susie visited the old cemetery at the edge of town. She wore her hair loose for the first time in years, letting it fall freely over her shoulders. Standing there, she felt neither sadness nor loss, only gratitude. She whispered softly, "I kept it. Just like you taught me." The wind moved through her hair gently, as if answering. Susie never believed her hair made her special. What made it meaningful was the story it carried, the quiet devotion of a grandmother, the patience of years, and the understanding that some forms of love grow slowly, but last a lifetime. And so, in a small town in Spain, a girl with long hair walked forward into her future, carrying the past with grace, strand by strand.